Welcome back, everybody, to the Birdies and Bourbon Show. I'll tell you what, if you're just listening, you definitely need to get on YouTube and check this out. I've got 3 fantastic bottles, 2 of which I cannot find in my home state of Georgia. I can get your straight bourbon whiskey here.
You should be able to find all of them there. Now, I don't mean to interrupt you, but Small Batch has been out because we were out of bottles for a long time. But that's been rectified.
Okay, awesome.
I think he just needs to recorrect. He can't find them.
No, I can't. I'm saying no, because people are buying them. They're not on the shelf.
Yeah.
Hey, but we've got Aaron Chepenik from I don't know. You want to go Smoke Wagon Bourbon? You want to go Nevada Distilling? I mean, what do you want to call it?
Probably Smoke Wagon is definitely more well known than the company that makes it.
Yeah. So and Aaron, just to be transparent, Aaron and team were kind enough to share 3 expressions with us, and I can't wait to have too damn much of this whiskey. And boy, do I have some questions for you, Aaron. The first one, sure. And I don't know if you get this a lot or not, because I got 2 directions I'm going to go with this thing, and one, I want to call you the king of whiskey. And I want to call you, and I want to call you the king of whiskey, because I grew up in East Tennessee, kind of moonshine running up there. Is that a Charlie one horse you're wearing?
What, the jacket?
Yeah, the hat. No, the hat.
Oh no,
the hat.
it's a Watson's Hat Shop. They're in Cave Creek, Arizona. It's all the band is brim makers, but the hats, it's all custom. It's like they're custom felt. They shape it to your head. I can't go back to factory hats.
Wow, that's cool.
And I want to call you the king of whiskey because and everybody knows who Richard Petty is, right? And Richard Petty was always known. And I think Petty, I believe that the brand that he always wore was Charlie One Horse. I could completely miss that.
Oh yeah, he always had the feather hat bands.
Always, man. Every time I see you on Instagram. And not that you look like Richard Petty, but it's just the hat thing. I mean, I just thought that's like an image that's just ingrained. And Richard Petty actually made a bourbon at one point in time. So I mean, I wouldn't say it was great, but I mean, it's got his name. It's a collector's item. It is nothing. It's nothing like what we're getting into with you here today, sir. So
don't collect those. Drink them.
Exactly. Hey, don't worry, my friend. These bottles are not going to have any issues. We've got a couple of people coming up on the show, and one of the things that we like to do that we probably don't share enough is we get so folks that are generous enough like yourself that are able to share some bottles. Some people probably listen to the show and they're like going, that Cal guy, he doesn't send Dan anything and he just hoards it and drinks it all himself, which is not the case. We actually like to send these out for tastings with other individuals that are coming on the show that may not have an opportunity to get it or they haven't tried it for whatever reason. But yeah, we really, really appreciate the opportunity to do that. So I've been rambling too much.
That's usually what I do. I'm going to let 20 minutes to answer a question, and by the time I get to the end of it, it's like we're not even talking about the question. I forgot what the question was.
Oh shit! So I've already ruined the interview. Is what you're saying?
No, not at all.
So all right. So hold on. So I'm going to be drinking because again, people can hear me all the time on here. Going on about stuff. I want to talk about what we're going to taste for just a second, and then we're going to get kind of a little deeper into it, and then you're going to give us because you're the guy. Right. So we're gonna have the Smoke Wagon straight bourbon whiskey. Yeah. And then so I'm thinking we're gonna go to this one next. Small batch.
That's the way I would go. Yep.
Yeah. And then we're gonna go to this is I know, and I haven't had it. The one thing I don't have is patience and self-control, but this time, my friend, I did hold back and I said, nope, I haven't had it.
You didn't open it?
I opened it to send Dan a pour, and I promise I did not get in there.
Well, it's okay if you did, because the cool thing about Uncut Unfiltered, it does change in the bottle. I don't know if it's because of there's such a high demand. And so it's like, I mean, now that we have the batch stickers, people are getting bottles and they're like, oh my God, you just bottled this 5 days ago and it's already, in Texas, or it's already in Georgia, or it's already, I'm like, yeah, man, we're just like, and I used to always say, oh yeah, nothing happens to the bottle. With Uncut Unfiltered, it definitely mellows out in the bottle, even if you don't open it, even if it's closed. I don't know if.
So was that unexpected? I mean, I'm saying, so you're blending, you're getting your stuff, and I don't know, can we go down the road of where things are coming from and?
Oh, sure, I talk about it all the time.
Okay,
got nothing to hide.
Well, so hold on, let's back up. I made a couple of notes that I want to touch on. For those that don't, because you're in maybe, what are you in, like 15, 18, 20 states, give or take now?
We're only in 11 states, believe it or not. I mean, we could be in more. I just, we're in the process of buying and renovating a place and moving into a new facility.
Yeah.
And I just until we get into a bigger space, we just can't do it. We're like maxed out. We're not maxed out on juice. We're just maxed out on space. It's like there's no room.
Yeah, we scheduled this for an hour. I hope you don't have a hard stop, because I got a feeling this could go. I may need like 2 extra minutes or something at the end.
I have we got to do an emergency uncut unfiltered blend, and since I have this, I didn't have a chance to get to the distillery. So at 5:30, somebody's coming by with my scale and all the samples to my house, so I can figure it out tonight, so we can batch it in the morning.
That's nice. Okay, so for those folks that haven't, and again, if you're not watching, if you're only listening, you got to go to. I mean, Aaron's kicked back with the cigar. He's got his Smoke Wagon Bourbon. Which expression are you drinking, Aaron?
I just have some small batch with me.
Okay, and so give us
because I haven't had dinner yet, so I'll talk you through the uncut. I remember that one, and straight bourbon as well, but uncut before dinner is sometimes just never.
Little
you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hold on. You are a bar owner and a whiskey maker in Las Vegas. So, I mean,
yes,
is there anything off limits?
As far as,
I mean, I'd say I've been to Vegas plenty of
times.
When
I was younger, there wasn't. Now, you got to mellow out. You can't live that life forever. It catches up to you.
So you want to give us and I'm sure you've told the Smoke Wagon story, I don't, how many thousands or hundreds, many times. So I don't want to bore you with that. We'll do a drop in. And if you want to go down that road, you can. There's a lot of interesting.
I found the recipe in my dead grandfather's shoe.
You heard it here first. You heard it here. Birdies and Bourbon.
That's not real. I'm lying. I'm being a dick. I'm making fun of all those dumb stories.
No, for sure. But hey, the one thing that Dan, and I don't think I shared this with Dan yet, but your business partner, co-founder, I guess I could call him, right?
Oh,
Jonathan
sure.
Hensley.
Yeah.
Screenwriter for Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh, nice.
That was an original screenplay that he wrote that was originally called Simon Says.
Yeah, I would love to get on with you guys. So number one, I want to get on. We're trying to do a thing called Bourbon in a Movie. We'd love to do Tombstone with you.
Okay.
I mean, I think that'd be so awesome. So why Smoke Wagon? I mean, we can go into the gun and all that, but how'd you come up with that?
Well, so it started with Silver Dollar, which was the vodka, and we chose Silver Dollar because it is silver filtered. That's a long story. So basically, Jonathan and I were drinking vodka back in the day, and we loved this stuff, Russian Diamond. It was the official vodka of the Kremlin, and it was silver filtered. So we were kind of just joking. I mean, just, drunken, like, we should make vodka, and I was like, and it was always just kind of, I don't know, just sort of a thing like that we talked about. And then one day, and I can't remember why, and I was even just talking about this with Jonathan the other day. He's like, yeah, it just seemed like a switch was flipped with you, and it became real. And so just one day I was like, I started looking at real property to rent, I started trying to track down a silver filtration system, researching stills, all that stuff. But like I said earlier, here we go, 20 minutes, not even answering the question. So Silver Dollar, it's called Silver Dollar because it was silver filtered like these Russian vodkas.
Yep.
All silver filtered stuff is like it's basically they use it, you know, in Europe more than reverse osmosis because silver has antiviral and antibacterial properties. I think even for a while there, like British Airways was like all our water is silver filtered. Now, obviously, in vodka, you don't really have to worry about killing bacteria or viruses, but the silver coating the charcoal, it stops you from getting ash residue into the juice. Okay. So the Morgan was minted in Carson City because of all the silver coming out of the Comstock load. I mean, it was minted in other places as well, but so you know, symbol of Nevada, the Morgan. I designed that bottle for the vodka. We got desert sage all over it. I had to engineer it. So the Morgan was the currency of the Old West. And, you know, we went that route because that is how I associate, you know, that's how I don't really pay attention to the mid-century history of Las Vegas. I pay attention to the Old West history because I come from the East Coast. And out West, everything exists because of water. You know, so Las Vegas exists because there was springs. And so, you know, when they're doing the old Spanish American Trail, it came through Las Vegas because this was where all the water was. And so, you know, when it came time to do the bourbon, we wanted to keep that Old West theme. And I was looking, I went online and was looking at this Old West slang. And I ideally wanted to do, I'm trying, you know, so long ago, I can't remember what came first. But I do remember that, like, looking at all the alcohol-related Old West slang stuff, nothing was really that. It was all kind of derogatory, you know, like coffin varnish and then stuff that, like, really doesn't translate, like, you know, joy juice.
Gut
and, you
rot.
know, something called joy juice, you know. And then I was like, God, it'd be really cool to have you know, a logo with crossed pistols. And so, you know, but, you know, it was like Peacemaker was too obvious and all these things. And then I wasn't even thinking about Tombstone. I hadn't seen it since, like, I don't know. I mean, last time I probably saw it before this was on like VHS, you know? Mm-hmm. And I was like, and I just remember I was driving back from Las Vegas and I just read, I was on my, you know, car, on the phone with Jonathan in the car, and I was just reading off like the ideas, and I had them on the top of my head, and I was like, just blah 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 blah, and Smoke Wagon. He's like, Smoke Wagon, and he instantly went to the Tombstone, and I said, yeah, he's like, do you like Smoke Wagon? I was like, I really like it. I can't explain it. It's the one I keep coming back to, and man, the logo would be awesome. You know, it would really, you know, just kind of be like kind of kick ass. And so then it just made sense because the Morgan was the currency of the Old West, and you know the Colt single action army revolver was a gun that won the West, and so everybody had a Morgan in their pocket, or Morgans in their pocket, and a Colt on their hip, and so that they just kind of seemed to go nicely together.
Perfect.
Skin that Smoke Wagon. Mm-hmm. I've been waiting like for weeks to say that.
Yes.
I hope you don't hang up.
Oh, sorry, my internet just went out. So you can say it multiple times throughout the hour or so.
Well, I mean, you know, you built yourself a hell of a problem, sir. Is what you and it's one of those good hell of a problems. But you know,
everything is good. Everything is positive. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I went ahead and poured all three expressions that we got here, and I graduated from the straight bourbon whiskey to I'm now in the small batch because I haven't had it, and I'm like, oh, shit. If you're drinking it, I'm definitely joining in.
So the irony is the straight is the most recent, you know, because usually everybody starts off with old juice they bought. And, well, actually, no, it's not. I guess it is kind of how everybody does it, where they start off with old juice and then they run out. We didn't run out of old juice. when I came up with the idea that now it's 5 years ago, I just saw, it just seemed like everything was getting weirder and more expensive and harder to get. And there's a lot of stuff that I don't understand, like as far as pricing and what people are buying, because it's really not that good. And they're just buying it because, and so I was like, one, I mean, who knows how long this will last? Because when you look at something that doesn't make sense, eventually there has to be a correction. All right. And I've been in the bar business for my first bar 20 years ago. Everything goes, up and down, but there are some things that, but a nice entry-level bourbon that I was just like, if we can make the best tasting, $30 bourbon, $29 bourbon, I think that would be a huge achievement. And because at the time everybody's like, oh, you did the Desert Jewel and that's gone, you've been doing private barrels, you've been uncut unfiltered, what's next? Are you going to do like a 75-year-old bourbon that costs $8,000 and tastes like oak and rubbing alcohol? It's just like, well, I was like, no, I want to do something super cheap. And it'll eventually get cheaper, because when you look at big brand pricing, a lot of the pricing comes when we start doing volume deals and things like that, which obviously we can't do right now. But so eventually, hopefully it'll even get more affordable. But I mean, I drink it. It's like, I love it, and that's the thing too, that I've talked about in the past. I don't know where entry level bourbon became like a subpar, a subpar category, because if you look at anything else, if the entry level one was a piece of shit, you would never want to make more money. Or if you like, say, motorcycle, you're young and you can only afford like the entry level to, and also you don't want to buy the super expensive one because you'll probably be too fast for you and you'll die or whatever. Right. But if you have a bad experience, you're never going to be loyal to that brand.
Yeah, you're done. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just thought, well, entry level shouldn't mean it doesn't taste that. It should taste good. It just might not be enough for a more seasoned bourbon drinker, because it's 92 proof, so it's not high proof.
Yeah.
It's 4 year with some 5 year to give it complexity. But, it's not going to be like small batch or uncut unfiltered. There's not going to be any oak. It's not going to be overly complex. But if you're a beginner, a lot of those things, you don't want. A lot of people don't like heat. They don't like tannins. They don't like those things. And it's, now it's a bad word, but it's the smoothest, and so, and
God forbid you say smooth.
You can't say smooth anymore.
Hey, so hold on. Let me catch. So I went back to the straight bourbon, and the thing is, this thing kind of hits me just at the tip of my tongue. But I think and what you're describing is, how do you introduce somebody to this is a daily drinker. It's not going to knock your socks off. You're still going to get bourbon. I mean, right. I'm getting like a shitload of honey out of this thing. For the rye content, I personally am not getting any. Now the small batch will be a different story in a minute, but on the straight bourbon, like I'm getting, like, I wouldn't, if I were, and it's by the day and what we've had prior to and all that stuff. Right. So maybe.
Yeah. You can't go back once you go up the wrong, trying to go back to that lower proof.
But that thing is like
harder to take out flavors.
Yeah, but that's straight bourbon. It's like honey on my tongue, and it's and I don't. It's not a super heavy or long. I would say it's short to medium finish on it. But I mean, this is something that you can put in front of somebody, and for you to say that you wanted to make a daily drinker affordable bourbon. I'm looking at the at the bottles, and I'm like going, well, shit, you're like leaps and bounds beyond a daily drinker. I mean, the bottles themselves, and again, you can see the difference. And I want to talk about that in a minute, if you don't mind, the difference in the color. But if I mean, this is like, you ain't peeling this shit off. I mean, this is etched on the bottle.
Yeah, it's applied ceramic label.
Yeah.
So that all, it's the opposite of the other bottles. I designed those bottles. I was like, I want this. And they're like, nobody's ever done that. I'm like, yeah, but it's what I want,
Well, you've made a name for yourself, and I mean, once again, I mean, even if you walked into the liquor store and you had no idea what Smoke Wagon was, and you see the bottle on the shelf,
yeah,
I mean, you did it. I mean, you got the eye candy that gets you to, hey, what's in the bottle, and it's even better than the bottle itself. So
yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, I could, because like one thing I say a lot is, oh, well, that's from my experience in the bar business, and I had a lot of people bring in these, craft bourbons in like a plain bottle. I'm just like, no one's gonna drink that,
Yep.
I'm like, you want my bartender to like educate someone on this bottle when we're busy? Like, you're out of your sorry, I don't know if I can curse here.
You can say whatever the fuck you want to say.
Oh.
It's your brand you have to protect, sir.
Protect.
If anybody doesn't know my mouth by now, yeah. So I was just like, nobody's gonna give a fuck about this. It's like, so because of its price point, I got to put it on the back bar. It looks like a turd on the back bar, and no one's gonna say, "Hey, what's that?" Because that's half the battle, And so, and then maybe if it's happy hour or slower, you can engage the bartender. And my staff always knew, they're all educated on stuff.
Sure.
But then, everything I've done, all the bars were like really overly designed, and I shouldn't say overly, but they were just, every detail like had to be perfect. And so it is kind of my personality. So I can't really, Well,
I mean, if you're in Vegas, do you know what you got to compete with? I mean, you really don't have an opportunity to be half-assed in Vegas, do you?
Oh, as far as the bars?
Yeah.
No, especially when we opened that bar downtown. Downtown Las Vegas was like, man, it was bad news. There, it was rough.
Is it like, are you talking Old Town, or are you talking the Strip?
Old Town, but not under the Experience, like
right
east of Las Vegas Boulevard. And there was a 7-Eleven on the corner, and our landlord, she kicked him out. But that 7-Eleven was the highest. I don't know if it was the highest grossing, but it was the most profitable 7-Eleven in the country for loose cigarettes and
condoms.
the crack pipe roses, those roses with a little glass face. It's actually a crack pipe. Yeah. And it's crazy.
Full disclosure, I only know it because I see them behind the glass when I walk up to pay for my gas. Full disclosure.
Yeah, I'm talking like I didn't know about them at all until somebody showed them to me and told me, like, this is what that 7-Eleven sells. And it was really rough down there. But as soon as that 7-Eleven closed, it was a ghost town. Yeah. It was no longer rough. It was just like, man, it was weird. But so we built at like the kind of the worst possible time, and the bids started coming in because, like, the Strip was blowing up. They were, they just finished Wynn. They were building Encore. They were redoing everything, and everybody, a lot of people left town because of Katrina to go to New Orleans to rebuild, and so nobody wanted to do a little dinky bar. And so all of a sudden it turned into like an insanely expensive project. I remember talking to Jonathan about it, and I was like, we kind of have to do it, because people's perception of downtown is like, we don't get it. And I was like, but the other thing is, people here will appreciate it. There's nothing here nobody's doing this sort of like insane environment where you're trying to give the best sort of neighborhood bar environment for locals. All the like super crazy stuff was on the Strip, where it's like, it's not me, you can sit at the bar by yourself, believe me, I tried it for like the first 3 months I lived there, and it was just like the only people that talked to me were, because everybody's in groups. Everybody's going to Vegas in groups, and so it's like, oh, here's a group of guys from, Indiana, and a group of girls from Minnesota, and they all like get together, and like, here's this weird guy just sitting at the bar by himself.
Did you have that cowboy hat on and those glasses?
I was no, I didn't have the glasses on inside, but no, I wasn't really wearing cowboy hats yet. I had a brief. So I came from the construction background, and I drove trucks, and then my first business was like this. And started off as a junk shop, turned into an antique store. But I was always sanding stuff, and I was always like dirty, and all I wore was overall, like basically dressed exactly how I do now, except cowboy boots. I was wearing work boots, and I had this. They weren't cowboy. They were all like vintage Stetsons, but they're like the bigger, kind of like a mixture between like a fedora and a cowboy hat, and
a bowl, like a bowler.
Kind of, I mean, like a little bigger shaped brim, but and and it had like the crease.
Yeah.
But then when I opened my first bar, I tried to be cool for like a year. I tried to dress like fashionable, and
I bet you had jeans with the little stitching on the back pockets, did you?
No, I was wearing like vintage Adidas, and like these reissue Adidas track jackets that were all like 70s and early 80s, and like Japanese denim, and like all these super crazy, like everybody, all the crazy $300 or $400 pair of jeans and stuff that I ripped the crotches out of all of them. Just actually moving around. I think you can just stand in one place wearing those. Actually like working on something, you have to bend down. And then like my hair started turning gray when I was really young, and I was like 32, and I came down the stairs. And I looked in the mirror, and I was like, I'm too old to dress like this. This is like how kids dress. And I remember talking to my dad, and I was like, I said, so my dad, he's from Jacksonville, Florida, and he always wore cowboy boots, and he always wore cowboy hats. But even like skiing, we went skiing in the 70s. He had a leather cowboy hat that he wore. And
sweet.
I remember saying, I said, Dad, I never really wore sneakers before this. I was always in work boots. I was always, and I just said, Dad, I can't wear sneakers anymore, and I don't want to like buy dress like shoes. I don't know. He's like, and he said, son, you know what you have to do? You got to get a pair of cowboy boots. I've been telling you for years. I remember he says, like, they're so versatile. They go with trousers, and they go with dungarees.
So are you a Lucchese guy?
Lucchese and blackjack. Yeah, I love that Lucchese 7-toe, but man, for the custom stuff, blackjack. So everybody out there in El Paso, they all use the same toolers. No one's tooling in house, and so and then also the custom tooled ones. I want that 5-toe, that pointy toe.
Sure. Yeah.
Skinner guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I actually, in a former life, I did spent I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 years in Jacksonville. So not in an institution, but not that kind of institution. So educational institution. So.
I don't think I've been back since the mid 80s, late 80s, whenever they built that freeway, because that whole part of Florida, those North Florida beaches, I should say, you couldn't get to them. And it was just, everything was, it was all like, there was nothing developed on the other side of the A1A. And I think they had just built Sawgrass, and that was like it. There was no hotels or anything until you got down to South Ponte Vedra. Or St. Augustine, and we would always stay north of that. It's just like really cool beach houses on the beach. I don't know if you can find. Not like we weren't rich or anything by any means.
No, you're fucked down. Ain't no damn chance. I mean, listen, the shit that you guys are pumping out of that place. I mean, I'm not going to go down that road, but I know it's an expensive business, and I know the margins.
Oh
are
no,
thin,
I mean, growing up, I didn't grow. It's not like I'm staying at a beach house and
Oh,
my
yeah,
family,
right.
like where my dad's like, I mean, he was not. So it was just like working class kind of,
Sure.
Yeah. And now I'm sure it's all gone, but he
Oh,
won't go back.
Yeah,
he won't,
crazy.
Because he grew up riding horses and everything. I mean, he, like the Florida that he grew up with is gone. Doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah,
point.
for sure. For sure. Hold on. So we have talked nothing about Smoke Wagon bourbon. But I'm having a damn good time. And
I am too.
mean, and this is what I really wanted to get. I wanted to get a hold of the Aaron that people don't. I don't want to run you through a bunch of cheese, and I shouldn't say cheesy ass questions. But listen, you're on a shitload of podcasts. Everybody wants a piece of your time. And you know what? Sometimes people they don't want to go down a road of, hey, I'm going to get to know your bourbon when I fucking drink it. I want to know what did you do, sir? What did you do that you've got a hell of a thing going on here, man. And it is absolutely ridiculous. And you have to admit that sometimes don't you wake up in the morning or go to bed at night or wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, holy shit, this actually worked.
I never wake up in the middle of the night doing it. But I do, every day I'm appreciative of what I have, but it's always tough, right? Because you always get wrapped up in everything. Mm-hmm. And so it's all about perspective, I mean, I remember the perfect example is I remember going to the bars and seeing the bar owner, right? I'd be like, man, that must be so cool. That guy, oh, he's got it made. Now, granted,
that'll teach you a lesson.
Yeah, but I mean, Las Vegas was different. Las Vegas really was like how what you thought it would be like is how it was, and but I shouldn't even say that because people didn't even know I owned the bar. There was just Las Vegas was just so fun. There was so much action going on, but and then when I did own the bars, it's like, oh my God, it's not like, yeah, it's like, oh God, what the fuck's that bartender doing? The toilet's broken again, we ran out of this, that chair's broken, the freezer's down, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so like, you got to step back and go, oh shit, that's right. I own a bar and I have to, to some extent do that now. And I think it's good because it keeps you humble. You're not like, brain blew up. It's like, oh, I want to make everybody happy. So it's like, okay, how we got to get everyone everything. And now that we're moving, we're going to develop this property. So now we're on the phone with the city, talking about buying the land and trying to figure out dealing with the architects and to build the thing. And so, yeah, I have to force myself to step back and be like, holy fucking shit, this is amazing. But it's easy. I mean, it's easy to do on a daily basis, like when I'm on Instagram or whatever, because all the people are so great 99% of the time, and so you have these people messaging me and it's like, this is fucking amazing. Everybody's it's so nice, But
have you had any negative feedback? So let's I don't know. We hit on it. We hit on it a little bit, but we didn't really talk about it. But I mean, I think today everything that we are drinking is sourced, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And is that? But you've got stills, and I know you're making vodka. So, but that's later. It's like, what are you doing next? It's like, well, shit's sitting in the warehouse aging, and then that's what's coming, right?
Well, I mean, now we contract MGP to lay down 400 barrels a month for us, so. And that's the thing. It's like, when you think about sourcing, you think about going out and trying to find it. And that's not what's going on. Is we've been we did go to MGP and buy aged juice in 2012, but starting in 2015, we started laying it down.
Yeah.
So all this 8, 9 year, that was stuff we bought from MGP, but it was like a day old. It wasn't even distilled by MGP. It was still LDI. They had just taken over the facility. Wow. That stuff was like 2 months old. They show you how early we got in. And then, in 2015, we started laying down 600 barrels. There was a couple of years we missed, and so I did have to go back and buy some stuff. and then we just bought a ton. But as long as they
But it's but are you getting? But so and I know I led with a question and I rudely cut you off. I apologize. But do you get shit about that? And like, hey, you're taking somebody else's stuff and you're blending it and putting it in a bottle and then you're selling. Do you get shit about that, or like what does Smoke Wagon get shit about?
Some degree that people are like, oh, it's just sourced MGP. And all MGP tastes the same. Well, it's just like, oh, Jesus. It's like, I was like, not even every warehouse tastes the same, And
exactly.
Not even every floor of the warehouse tastes the same.
Not even every lot on the same floor of the same warehouse of the same age tastes the same, because one's like McGinnis cooperage and one Space. They don't own their own cooperage, so they're always getting barrels from whoever they're getting it from.
Yep.
And and then you say, I remember we got into an Instagram with somebody's like, you're really not doing anything special. You really got to do more, like finish your bourbons and like port or whatever to be doing something special. You're not doing anything. And then I was like, well, who is doing something special? He's like, oh, well, I mean, like Buffalo Trace is doing something special. And I'm not talking, when I say this next thing, I'm not talking shit about Buffalo Trace. Talking shit about the guy talking shit about me. Yeah. And it's like, well, Buffalo Trace has like 4 mash bills, or, and 90% of their stuff is made with like, so they have all these expressions using the same mash bills with the same still at the same facility. What are they doing?
For how many triple digit years, dude? I mean, pump the brakes, bud. Right?
Yeah, it's like, I'm like, and so what, you think that they can't, that does each one taste exactly the same? No, of course not, because the master blenders and they're figuring out how to make each one taste different. And so so there's that. And then the latest one was because I was so transparent about what I did with the Rare Unlimited, and now everyone's like, that's just barrels that retailers didn't want, and then he just did all this marketing.
Oh, boy.
And it's like, well, first of all, it wasn't barrels that retailers didn't want or weren't good enough for retailers. It's barrels that I didn't offer to retailers. My decision whether or not to offer a barrel to a retailer does not necessarily mean they're good or they're bad. There's just something about it where I feel like, maybe the finish is off, or it's really good up front, or, it needs more time, and those all sat for a while, so they had more time, or whatever. You just never know. And then when I blended them all together in one tank, they tasted amazing. And the thing is, like, every old barrel in uncut and small batch, I mean, now we're not doing private barrels, so I don't really sample each barrel the way I used to. But it's like there's been 200 barrels that didn't make it. Are you not going to buy uncut because the 9-year juice in it is barrels that didn't make it the private barrel? It's like, and that's like an attack on character, right? Like, I'm just some hustler. There's nothing special about it. The reason people can make comments like that is because dueling is illegal. They should bring back dueling, right? I should be able, someone says that shit about me, like I'm some asshole who's like trying to scam people. I should be able to challenge them to a duel. Like,
pistol of choice, sir.
Yeah, you're attacking my character, and it's like, fuck you, man. Is that what you think I'm doing? Like, I'm just like, oh, let me. And the whole thing is that, like, when I came up with that was so long ago. That was like in March. We hadn't even. I think we barely released in Illinois. We weren't in Colorado yet. We were still working on changing distributors in New York, New Jersey. Like, everything was so small. We weren't in Texas. It was supposed to be this really fun, cool thing. And I really liked the idea of the coin, because that's what I would have wanted, is like, I don't want a box. I don't want a shelf. I want like something I can take with me, turn into a keychain or something. If somebody goes, oh, that's cool. What is it? You're like, I got the fucking bottle 110 out of the, cool. And that's what I would want. So that's why I did it that way. And then I did the label the way, so that, because there'll be so many more of them if we ever have time to sneak it in on the bottling line. And so it takes forever to get new packaging. So I just wanted to have 10,000 bottles sitting around.
Well, no shit. When you're doing stuff like this, I mean, this is not like, hey, send me your clear bottle and a label. I mean, it ain't like you're doing like elementary shit over here. I mean, this thing is, I mean, like I'm going like, shit, what am I going to do with these bottles? I mean, I'm definitely not going to throw them away. I guess I'm gonna,
but that's why the rare and limited had so I could write on the label, but yeah, so that I still see that people are like, oh, is this any good? And somebody, it's just barrels that retailers didn't want. And it's like, well, that's not true. And what do you think? I'm just like, oh God, I have these barrels that retailers don't want. What should I do with it? It's like I make uncut and small batch with them. I do it all the fucking time. But these were so insane. I was like, I can't blend with these. They're this is too amazing. This is too special. And I created the rare and limited just to release that. So those are the two things. It's still, it's just MGP. You're not doing anything. When are you going to start distilling yourself? Okay, I'm distilling myself. What's the difference? I call MGP every month. I'm either contracting them to do new laydowns, which is what we would do, or there's stuff that's like a week or two old, and I'm paying new laydown price, and I get to pick my floors and warehouses, so I'm dictating where everything's going, and I make sure everything's racked, and so I'd be doing the same thing. I don't want to be a master distiller. Those guys have chemistry degrees. They're watching computer screens and computer printouts of chemical composition and stuff like that. I want to just blend and have fun.
It looks like you're having a hell of a time. I can tell you
that.
Man,
it's so fun. It's amazing. It's really cool, and I love it. And I'm lucky. I'm lucky that that when I blend something, I go, this is yummy. Other people are like, that's yummy.
Exactly. Well, it doesn't suck, and I'll have another pour, sir. So wait a minute. So you go from vodka, and I know you may have a cutoff. So if you got to leave, just you can be like, I got to get the hell out of here. But you went 7:53. So
I got over a half hour.
Oh shit! Well, hey, that'll be the last time you ever say that to me. You'll be like, actually, I gotta go right now. Hold on. So
I never use these lights out here. They're so horrible. They're like the coldest LED lights. But I figured I turned them on before I came out because I knew it would get dark in case it went long.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that. Yeah.
All right. So you go from a vodka drinker. And by the way, I've never, back in the day when I was, if I were drinking vodka, even today, if I'm drinking vodka, I'm a Russian Standard guy, and that's a Bloody Mary kind of thing, whatever. and so I didn't hear there's something Diamond that you were drinking, right?
Russian Diamond, yeah.
Russian Diamond.
Russian Standard silver filtered also.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so I'm like going, well, how in the hell does a vodka drinker turn into a master whiskey blender?
Well, I started drinking bourbon. Slow it down. I was just drinking way too much. Things were getting a little wild. I had a good run. It was a lot of years, and but I was drinking too much, and I said, I need something that's, got flavor and heat that's going to slow me down. And so I tried all the brown spirits, and I just love bourbon the most. And so I was drinking bourbon, and then, as we were starting to build the distillery, people were like, oh, you should do a bourbon. And I was like, a bourbon? I mean, vodka is easy, you just figure out how to make it. I was like, I know what to do. I got the filter. We're going to cook it in this copper pot still. It's going to be so smooth. And that vodka, you can say smooth. And no one's going to look at you sideways.
Right.
And, but bourbon, I was like, I don't know shit about distilling, like from scratch or anything. And I was like, oh, you just buy stuff to get started with. And it, and that was the thing is I just blended it to where, well, I shouldn't say I blended. Originally, we bought 5-year from MGP. We're going to release the small batch was going to be a 5-year. And by the way, back then, small batch I guess now, like calling something small batch is bad. I don't know. It's like I've had people say, "Oh, I didn't try your small batch because it's small batch."
See. I don't know why that's the case though. Because I mean, is it like well, it was experimental? Is it like, hey, we're only doing a limited run of it because we only had so much? Because like I was reading some things about. Oh no!
Oh, sorry, I'm coming back.
I definitely hung up on us. Well, I'd like to say that we had a great time chatting with Aaron.
I fucked up and forgot to put my phone in airplane mode because I thought I'd be on the computer.
Yeah, but I think the small batch thing is. I think it's a few things. I think one is it could be, if you want to call it experimental. But now, I mean, we've got some folks just up the street from us, Chattanooga Whiskey. I mean, they've got an experimental lab and they run it through that. And you've got all the other, Evan Williams and other people.
I think the small batch thing is like, because it's not, there's no real definition of small batch. So it's just like, oh, that's just what they call like their mass produced stuff if they want to seem
fancy,
like something
like a marketing kind of thing. Yeah.
Fancy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, or it could, I mean, I think it could be used at a better term. And again, I don't know. I don't think there are any restrictions around, the whiskey and bourbon, regulatory side that say small batch means this. I think it's, to your point, Dan, it's a marketing term and there you go. So,
I didn't know. I thought it meant that you were doing something in little batches.
And special, right? Yeah.
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 Did you get a message on that? Somebody say like, what are you doing over there? What kind of cigar are you smoking anyway, Aaron? What are you pairing with the small batch tonight?
Oh, warped La Hacienda. It's actually really nice together.
I haven't had the warp, but I have had La Hacienda many times. Is that do you have a go-to in your cigar preference, or are you kind of across the board?
I bounce around. I mean, I always have the same ones in rotation. Then I'll have some older stuff that's been in the cabinet for like a while. Because like my palate like will change and I won't smoke those for a long time. And then I'll come back to them and be like, oh yeah, forgot about these.
Yeah, well, I just said, oh yeah.
Are you drinking the Uncut Unfiltered?
Well, I know I'm not being a very good host, and I'm just.
It's just sourced MGP. I mean, I don't do anything.
I mean, it's just liquor. I mean, who gives a shit? I
just grab some stuff and whatever. Throw it in the bottle.
So for those that are listening and want to go and look, I'm holding the bottle up right now, and then this is 11/18/20 batch 27.
Oh yeah, that.
Nice. This shit is. I mean, I went 1, 2, 3, and it's like don't save the best for last. And listen, like the folks that listen to the show. I ain't blowing smoke up anybody's ass. I'll drink all these damn bourbons and have a good time. This is, I actually think, to me, and where I'm at right now, the straight bourbon actually tasted a little bit hotter than the uncut unfiltered. I don't know if that even makes sense to you.
It does make sense, and it's all through blending. I mean, even though I don't do anything. The 4 so the straight bourbon's 4 and 5 year, right? And so I blend it with a lot of 4, so it's going to be really thin. So at a 92.5 proof, it's still got some heat to it. So everything is a balance between lipid esters and tannins. So lipid esters are going to make it, it's all fat. And so it's going to be a nice creamy mouthfeel, insulate your palate from the heat. But then, and so you get all that from the older juice. But then tannins will give people a harshness that they perceive as ethanol heat. And a lot of times, even some of that burn going down is from the tannins. It's not the heat. And so with the uncut, I mean, the last batches were like 4, 5, 6, and 7, and now that I finally have my 9 years, it's 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9 year. I really, in the beginning it was only 8 and 4 year, and that's the other thing too. Like, you want to go back to talk about like people talking shit. They're like, "Oh, uncut and filtered used to be this, and now it's like," I'm like, Uncut Unfiltered used to be only 8 and 4 year, and now it's like, all these different floors, all these different vintages. I can really create these unique proprietary flavors that I couldn't before. And what I mean by that is, if I go back and try like the first 8 and 4 year, I'm sorry, the first Uncut, I can kind of taste the 8 and I can kind of taste the 4. And now with the Uncut, it's like the flavor isn't the flavor of any of the existing vintages. And it makes it hard because if there's something wrong, it takes me a while to figure out which one it is that's too heavy, that's fucking it all up. So Uncut, I blend to taste its best neat. And so it's all about working on that finish, dialing in the finish. It's very easy to get up front on the palate, all those yummy flavors. And like even small batch is significantly easier to figure out a blend than Uncut, because small batch, there might be too many tannins or there might be some youth, but it's proof down to 100 and you add some water and all that goes away. Uncut, you got to figure out how to make that go away just by using different vintages. And so, the instinct is to make it super old heavy. That way it's going to be nice and creamy, but the tannins are going to ruin the finish. And so you got to figure out which of the younger juices to get in there to really, cut down on the tannins without it becoming too thin. And then also all of them together, it brings in all this complexity. Like some of them might be like cinnamon heavy and you can bump that up, but it has like a bad finish, so you can't get too much of that. And it's real. I just love it. It's hard to do 90% of the time.
You fucked me all up, dude. You like this is not going to come across the way that it should, but you've ruined my Smoke Wagon palate. I only see this bottle on the shelf, and when I say that, I mean this in a positive way. Is as soon as you get your hands on the other Smoke Wagon impressions, and we're definitely going to share and spread the word. But
small batch should be as readily available as the straight. They both, small batch, because it's all about like bottling. Like small batch and straight bourbon. I can figure out a blend without every time we do a barrel dump, I got to do a new blend, and so we only have limited tank. We only have 350 gallon tanks.
Yeah.
And then also there's speed. So we don't have room for an automated bottling line. And so when we're doing something like the straight, those guys can crank that out. I mean, they do like
handwritten
300 cases a day of that. I mean, we can do 2,000 cases of straight in a six, we bottle them every day in a 7-day period. Uncut, we got to do the proof on the front. We got to do the batch sticker on the back. We got, and then like small batch, it's got the strip tape and all that stuff, and all that takes time. And so we can only do about 170 cases a day of Uncut. And then also it's more labor intensive to figure out the blends and everything. So
yeah,
it's just, there's only so many days in a month and there's so much demand. And so, then Uncut just sells so fast. So it's not like it's allocated or a limited thing. I mean, it's going to be more limited than the other two, but man, it's just like I can't get enough of it out there.
Yeah.
It's like, and if I told you,
you're telling me, I know.
And it's like if I told you how much we were doing in 11 markets, it's crazy. It's just crazy. And how much Uncut I'm doing now. I mean, that's why I had to stop the barrel program, because we got the Uncut order from Texas, and I was just like, holy fucking shit. I don't have, it's like everything's, I'm like looking at Uncut's like 1.18, 1.2 proof gallons a 6-pack, and this is how many proof gallons of old juice. Oh shit. It's like, oh, how many barrels do you have? We've got like 300. And, of now we're down probably less than that of the 9-year, but that was the 8-year. And I was like, that used to be an infinite amount. There's no way I could go through 300 barrels. I mean, when we were doing the barrel program, I don't even know how many 8 years I did. I mean, over 100 and something in like 4 months.
Wow.
And I was just like, I can't, and so I went to Lindsay, who works for me. Well, she doesn't actually, she works with me. She's like an integral part. And I hired her to handle the barrel program at that point, because it's so long ago.
I know. I know. Lindsay said, "Hey, we are not accepting people like you into our barrel program." and then I'm like, "Please, please, please." So, I mean, this isn't a bad runner-up price.
Yeah. So when I got the barrels are cool. I mean, I get it. I understand. It's neat to pick your own barrel, and I'll drink the barrels from time. I mean, I have almost all of them, but for me, it's like uncut, unfiltered. I mean, it's so complex. It's so insane. There's so many flavors going on. I mean,
good Lord.
If I'm sitting by myself, which is usually how I like to end the day, because I'm always doing stuff all day, and it's like just night. I need to like take a moment to like wind down. You can't have any mind chatter with uncut, unfiltered, because you're like, what's that flavor? What's that? What's that?
No, this thing is like,
did I just taste that? And the barrels, I don't really get that.
Yeah, I mean, I just took a drink of that, and I'm almost like, shit, I feel like I just had like an American single malt, but there's no way that this is American single. I mean, I got hints of that coming through there, and it's like, I don't even know why that should come out in that. So I'm not explaining it, correctly in what it, but I definitely got hit with like a shitload of malt on just that little taste that I just did. Yeah.
There is none in it.
Boom, boom.
Well, I shouldn't say that. There's what they got 4%, right? 4% barley, malted barley.
Well, it's something to brag about for sure. I mean, you've, I don't know. We talk to a lot of, and we talk to a lot of good whiskey people often. And, I mean, the thing that you've done, I mean, how long would you say this has been like running and selling?
And selling?
Yeah.
Not long, it's like,
what are you, 2-3 years?
Well, 2016 is when we won the gold for small batch. And so maybe that summer, our distributor in Las Vegas picked us up, and that was just small batch. And then the next year we had uncut. I mean, the vodka was first with the small batch as well. But yeah, it was just like slow grind for years. And I mean, I was always out and like doing. Fortunately here,
was it painful at the beginning? I mean, did you feel like some heartburn over like, shit, this really isn't happening? Or because, I mean, and again, I mean, you're in Vegas, I'm in Georgia, no distribution here. And then, again, you're in 11 states, I think we said, for Smoke Wagon Bourbon. And we haven't even mentioned vodka. What are you in the same for vodka, or do you distribute anywhere?
Oh my God. The vodka, man, the vodka, like people start, oh, you have a vodka, and we started putting it out there, and it's blown up as well. It's crazy. It's so smooth. It's like everything I wanted out of a vodka. The bourbon is everything I ever wanted from a bourbon, and the vodka is everything I ever wanted.
Hey, you can't debate with that. That's perfect, right?
but to answer your question, no, there was times where I was overworked. I mean, it's like starting a business when you're 31 versus doing this in my late 40s. It's just like, man, I'm not a maniac anymore. When I was in my 30s, like whatever, just fucking work all the time. I know. I want to be
like CNH.
Yeah. So there was some times where I was just like burnt out. I was bottling by myself, and at night I'd have to go out, and the weekends I'd be doing tastings, every weekend, and just doing, I was doing everything. And but the reaction that I got from people, I was like, there's no way it's not going to happen. And but I did not expect it to happen as fast and as big as it did.
Yeah, you dealt yourself a hard one, my friend. And but cheers to you. And I would agree. So out of the three,
thank you.
I I think we've got some different price points here, and obviously the Uncut Unfiltered is the highest price point that we've sampled tonight, and it's it is definitely an 100% worth the price point if you see it on the shelf. I mean, that's
yeah. Listen, I mean, I love them all. It's like I'm drinking the small batch right now, and it's just for before dinner, you know, with the cigar I'm having. Like early evening, it's perfect, you know.
Yeah, kind of warming up to it. Yeah, I mean that's okay. So and I don't know, you have to drop in a minute. I think you got a ride coming. So I got
my scale and my uncut samples showing up.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So bring it to my house. That's my life. That's
I've
gone from loading bottles by myself. Off the truck.
Hold on, what does that mean? What you got a scale and you got something? What can you give us the Cliff Notes version?
So the samples are every time we dump barrels, we put each vintage and floor in its own separate tank. And that's how we store them until it's time to do a bottling run. Nothing's pre-batched. We batch for every bottling run. And so I'll figure out a blend, and we'll do that blend for every batch until we've depleted the tanks, and then we have to do a barrel dump, and then I got to figure out the blend again because it's always different, and we can only dump, depending on the age, 7 to 9 barrels per tank, only 350 gallons, and you can't fill them up all the way or them way too much. And then the scale. So when you're doing the batches, you've got to do it by weight. There's no way to accurately measure that much alcohol by volume, because depending on the temperature and the barometric pressure, the alcohol is going to expand and contract. And so that's why, like, an Anton Par digital hydrometer for that's TTB approved is like they're like 20 grand. And part of that is it cools down your sample, and they have a barometer, so they factor in barometric pressure to factor the proof. And so what I learned was I used to do my blending by millimeters. So the reason I use either grams or millimeters because I'm trying to figure out percentages, and then and then you would just take those percentages. Average batch is going to be 2,500 pounds or so. And so I figure it out. Well, in the beginning, I was using volume, and I didn't realize that volume does not translate to weight, because 4-year is going to weigh less than 8-year. And, all the older stuff's going to weigh more than younger stuff. Or an older 122 proof is going to weigh less than, because the water plays a factor. So as the water evaporates, you have a higher concentration of lipid esters, which is going to be heavier, but also alcohol. So the higher the proof, the more alcohol's in there, and that's light. And so it's much lighter. And so I would figure out these blends, and we would batch, and I was like, this does not taste right. What happened? And so finally I realized that I have to do figure out my blends on the table in weight, in grams. And so they're bringing my little scale and samples so I can figure out the uncut blend for tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
That's so good. I mean, that's I hope we don't have to delete that from the conversation because I'm just saying, but I mean that's insightful shit that you wouldn't otherwise know, right? I mean, people aren't going through like the weight of the alcohol versus the water content or the
right.
Yeah, I mean they're not going through those things in their thought process, and how do you make it? And by the way, all you're doing is just taking MGP and blending it.
Is it even blending? I mean, I just kind of throw it around and just kind of stick it in a bottle and put a label on it. I go,
it's cool? Like maybe people will want it. I'll tell you what, man, you've done a hell of a job, and I'm going to make it a point to get out there to see you guys. I know I think things are closed down right now, but I may knock on a door one day and be like, "Hey, bud, I'm here."
Well, unfortunately, we can't really do tours because we don't have a tasting room license. Mm-hmm. But hopefully, we'll be in our new space in August or September, and then it's 4 acres.
Oh,
so wow. The first 8,000 square foot building that we're renovating, it's just the beginning. I didn't, even though we will build like an actual gift shop and like a bar and all that stuff, and then the bar will have a room in it, which is much better than a tasting room, because tasting room, you're limited what you can do. But I was like, let's put a tasting room in the first. Let's just get it started, because who knows when the bar will be done. That's new construction. This is a tenant improvement. We'll be able to get this done in a few months. So let's do the tasting room, and that way we can start doing tours, things like that, and merchandise retail, because people always trying to come by, and I just feel bad, and I couldn't let them in. Now, even if we had a taste, it's like there's no room. It's like it's just doing so much out of such a tiny space. It's like mayhem.
You're rocking, dude. It's solid. Hey, what does H&C stand for?
It's our last names, Hensley and Chepenik.
Oh, all right. Because I Googled the fuck out of that thing, and it's like I got nothing. But here's the thing: is you duped me on that one.
I will tell you. First of all, I'll give every upstart some advice. Hire a fucking trademark attorney. My God, it's like, or at least learn how to use the test system and search for trademarks before you start coming up with imagery and labels and names and things. But
the good news is one of my golf buddies, he is a trademark attorney, and when we coined Birdies and Bourbon, he's like, hey man, if you're gonna do that, it's like if you're actually serious and this is like you're gonna keep doing this shit, you may want to go trademark that. And I'm like, good point, I will. And
because I keep, I mention it because like people are like, check out our cool logo. I'm like, your cool logo is cross pistols. That's and it's a liquor. We have a trademark. That's trademark. That is going to confuse the consumer. You can't do that. You can't just say, look at my thing. But shit, what the hell were we talking about?
Well, we were talking about
H&C.
Yeah.
It's all. So we were like, we're going to be called Nevada Distilling Company or Nevada Distilling Co. because it sounds cool and old timey. And my trademark attorney said, you're never going to get that trademark. That is way too generic. And I was like, what about Nevada H&C Distilling Co? He's like, that'll work.
Nice.
Yeah. Same thing. I mean, we did our little Birdies and Bourbon thing, and they're like, well, we're going to have to really dial this down. And I'm like, I need you to tell me exactly. And I'm like, well, what do you think? And they're like, well, I can't tell you what I think. You need to tell me what you think, because I can't give you any. Anyway, Aaron, you guys are doing a bang up job. I mean, shit, I'll just keep sitting here drinking and talking because I got a shitload more questions.
We got 8 or 9 minutes. So if you got anything you want to ask me in particular,
no. What I want is, what didn't you tell us that you wanted to tell us? Nothing doesn't count. I'll come up with this. So, are you a golfer?
No, but Jonathan is. I used to be. I used to golf. I lived in Scotland for about a year and a half when I was in high school.
Oh,
golf.
That's
so
cool.
3 or 4 times a week.
So, second question: are you going to hook us up with Jonathan
to go golfing?
Would Jonathan be open for coming on the show?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Oh, well, fuck.
He always feels left out.
and I've already drank I've already drank these bottles.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
I'm gonna need like the new bottles for the next. But you know what I would like to do, and we if you have something that's like, and we don't need. This was extremely gracious of you guys to send this to us, and we really appreciate it. And again, like I said, we share with other people that come on our show and on our podcast. But if there's something that's like up and coming that you would want to share, that he would want to maybe go through with us, I mean, that could be a really cool thing to do. And we would love to do. He's a fucking screenwriter, dude.
I mean, as far as the as far as like the bourbony, like that would be. I mean, that would be more. He could talk about like the development of the property and everything, but I mean, as far as like, I'm the guy who's in there like creating the bourbons and all that.
So you take all the credit, basically.
No,
I can't take all the credit,
but it's as much as you can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm the one doing it. You know, so
he's the master blender.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm doing the blending.
Yep.
So we've got to the point that the uncut, unfiltered. I mean, that's where you go when you need to go somewhere. That's the flagship, right? I mean,
I'm very happy that you use flagship properly, because for some reason I feel like people don't know what flagship means anymore. They keep talking, saying the straight bourbon is the flagship. I'm like, no, that's the entry level. The flagship is the uncut, unfiltered.
Yeah, this is what I'm giving my my partner. I mean, she's getting this because she can't handle this. That's way big. And it's not because it's off-putting. It's just because she doesn't have an experienced palate in drinking whiskey. And I mean, this thing is like, I mean, you got a lot of shit coming out of that thing, man.
I gave all three to an inexperienced bourbon drinker, and she was like, oh, that straight bourbon. She's like, that's got to be the most expensive. That's like the best bourbon I've ever had.
That's good.
And I was like, why do you think it's the most expensive? She's like, because it's so smooth, you know. I was like, yeah, that's it's entry level, you know, because like, for people that are drinking bourbon all the time, it's like it's delicious and yummy, but you know, there's times you want more. You want more heat. You want more complexity.
But that's the ultimate compliment that you were looking for when you created that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Tell us about your bar downtown.
Well, it's a 25% occupancy because of the restrictions, but it's amazing, man. It's the Griffin, and it's just like a neighborhood bar that doesn't have a neighborhood. But that's the vibe, you know. We don't have any gaming, so there's no machines on the bar top, and just like, if you can behave yourself, you know, it's like, and there's no one's pretentious. The door guys are super nice, you know, and that's just that it was always about the, you know, I mean, if you're an asshole, you're gonna get kicked out,
Hey, yeah, good talking to you tonight, Aaron. See you, bud.
It sounds like a cool place. I want to check that place out next time we're out that way.
And now it'll be 15 years next month.
I can't believe that we haven't actually been there. Yeah. Have you ever seen anybody that looks like me on a wall in a picture? It says, "Do not let this guy in."
Do not let him in.
That sounds like a cool place, man.
No,
15 years. 15 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've had to have
took 2 years to build because of all the problems we had and everything, and trying to find, it was like the bottles, like trying to figure out. I was like, I want this.
But you still have a bar in Vegas too, right?
That's what we're talking about.
It.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Sorry. And then is the
uncut unfiltered is getting to you.
It's getting to
him. No. Hold on. But Smoke Wagon is not there, or is it there?
No.
You mean it's there, but you know, like.
No. I mean, but you've got a blending location, or you got a whiskey place, and then you have a bar.
They're not
they're separate places.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And are you going to migrate these into like one place when you get to your new spot?
No.
They got 4 acres. They're building out a complex for the smoke.
Yeah, the different crowds. You know, the Griffin's very young. You know, I mean, it's like rock and roll, it's party time. Not that the bar won't be, but you know, it's like it's gonna be more like bourbon.
Yeah, it's a different. Yeah. It's Vegas, so you get this and that, right?
Yeah. And the Griffin's right downtown, so we get all the tourists from Fremont Street Experience. It's pretty wild.
That's cool. Yeah. Man. That's really cool.
Yeah. In a good way.
Yeah, it's so good. What do you want to talk? I mean, I'm going to keep drinking these the rest of the night.
He's got to roll.
He's
got to roll.
Out, so. Yeah, but I know you got to go, bud.
I got like 2 or 3 minutes. I don't know. Let's see. What haven't I talked about?
What surprised you or not surprised you? So Cal and I just said we've been there like to Vegas before, but like if we're going to go eat or whatnot, where would you go as a local that you didn't know about when you came into Vegas? You know.
Well, when I came into Vegas, there really wasn't much. I mean, it was a different place, you know. Vegas really changed in because of 2009, 2010. All of a sudden, people weren't coming here to make a bunch of money as a cocktail waitress or a bartender and then get the fuck out, you know. And the business that didn't slow down was like retail. So all the high end retailers were still getting like a lot of foreign tourists spending big money. So everybody started like migrating away from the nightlife and working in retail. When you work in retail, you got to wake up early and you got a regular job and you can't party all night. And all of a sudden people started like really living here. And, you know, if you work for a big like designer owned store, you can move up the ranks and then become a manager and things like that. So all of a sudden people are having like normal real lives. And that's when more and more off strip local restaurants started opening up.
Do you have a favorite in town for a restaurant?
I can't say, because I mean, I don't want to
That's right.
one and then have another one that carries my bourbon and be like, what?
Do you want to drop, do you have a recommendation if I came to town? Could you drop like one or two or three that I might want to hit up?
Sure. Like Latai, which is downtown. That place is amazing.
Is that Thai food?
Yeah, it's Thai food. When I used to live downtown, I had like lunch there every single day.
That's hilarious.
Every day. I like, because my apartment was across the street and I would walk down.
Wow.
And Other Mama, which is like kind of Western. That place is really good. You know, places on the strip, you know, that's the thing. It's like, it's amazing. Like all the restaurants in Aria, like Carbone and Jean Georges and the French place that's right in that area of 3 restaurants. I can't believe I can't. Bardot, I think it is.
La Frog.
I think. God.
The French Laundry.
No, the French Laundry is the
Bouchon.
Yeah. God, there's just so many. There's so many good places to eat. I haven't been out for so long because of COVID.
Yeah.
I just don't like wearing them. It's not fun to go out wearing a mask.
It's not.
Yeah. I don't know. However, you should start rocking the Lone Ranger. I ain't bullshitting you, man. I mean, that would be awesome.
You know, COVID was like, that was the thing, is like, you know, before I couldn't really post on Instagram what I was doing because I was doing account support. I was always out of accounts, and being an Instagram that's monitored by the TTB, you know, we all got letters saying, hey, you can't talk about retailers unless you're talking about all of them. And so all of a sudden, once I wasn't going out anymore, I just started taking pictures of my house. Like, oh, well, I guess if I can't go out, I'll just, you know, hey, I know what everybody else is doing. They're sitting around. We're all in the same boat. So, hey, guys, you know, I'm doing the same thing you are. I'm hanging out at home drinking bourbon. Tonight I'm drinking this Uncut Unfiltered, and this is what I did, and this is what it tastes like. And I started taking pictures, like smoking a cigar by the pool and things like that. And, you know, it turned into something. And so my ability to use Instagram, I mean, you know, it's tough because even if it wasn't for COVID, I had hired a brand ambassador here, and because he's out 6 nights a week, and you have to do it here because it's all like on premise. So, you know, so it like that. I mean, we have no sales team. I have one brand ambassador who's local, and he's in Arizona too. I mean, to do what we're doing, you know, that's sort of the irony is in the beginning, I didn't want to expand past Arizona, California, and here because that's where I could physically go. And that's how it used to be. It was me going everywhere, you know? And I was like, I don't want to go to like a state where I can't go there and do market support because we'll just die, you know?
Yeah.
And now, because Instagram and everything, it's like, I don't have, we can't get it to we're growing slow because I can't keep up with demand. You know, it's like we go into these markets with the expectation of doing what another brand like us, but we're not that, like a new bourbon, right? New bourbon, you go into these markets, even with like a small distributor that's like really craft focused, really small brand focused, and you have these expectations. And, man, we like did that in, 2 days of pre-sales, what we thought we were going to do all year.
You're forced to go slow. You're forced to go slow because it's like, holy shit, look what just happened.
I mean, I'm not forced to, but it's like I don't really have any motivate. I want to be able to keep up, and I want everybody to be happy in the markets I'm in. And since I want to be doing this for a long time, it's all about preservation of the reputation of the brand.
Yep.
And oh no, I think our time might be up. Hold on.
All right.
Hold on, guys. Sorry.
No. Hey, we can wrap it. All we need is like 30 seconds after we drop.
I'm coming back.
Yeah, come back.
Hey,
Aaron. Hey, buddy. I can't tell you how many more times I want to do this, and I can't tell you how many more times Dan and I want to do this in person.
Yeah,
we are a little touchy-feely though. So,
No,
are you a hugger or a shaker?
We are not.
Are you a hugger or a shaker, Aaron?
That's all good, man.
I'll take it as you're a hugger. All right, Aaron. Uncut, small batch. Straight bourbon whiskey. I'm going uncut unfiltered. Cheers, my friend. Thanks
Cheers,
for
Aaron.
having
Thank
us
you
on the show.
Thank you, buddy.
My pleasure.
All right.
Hey, this is Aaron from Smoke Wagon, and you're listening to Birdies and Bourbon.